If you ask international students how life has been in Canada, you'd get different answers ranging from regrets to disappointments. Some people believe that this is not the Canada that was advertised, while some regret taking the decision to move in the first place. Hi guys, welcome to Layo's Tribe, and in today's video I just want to talk about 5 major challenges that international students face in this country. I know that for some students their situation is a bit different because they came in with maybe a lot of money, and that would help make some things easier for them. But I can tell you categorically that a lot of international students are having a hard time. They are facing a lot of difficulty, and what I would just say to students or whoever it is that is going through hardship or hard times is to just hang in there and try to look at the bigger picture. It's just a phase, and yeah, just hang in there basically. Also, I didn't relocate as a student. I relocated as a permanent resident, but I've been opportuned to have students that I'm really close to, so I'm able to see things from their lens. The very first challenge that international students face in Canada is housing. It's not like some people don't even have money to rent. I mean, a lot of people coming into the country as students know that, oh, I definitely need to get a place to stay. But the housing issue is that because landlords also don't want tenants that will default in payment, they would rather give their houses to people that have been living in the country, people that can show their employment status in Canada, people that have pay slip. To people, landlords basically just want to protect themselves. They just want tenants that won't default. You know, there is already housing crisis in Canada already. Like, people struggle to get places to rent, and it is more serious in some provinces than the others, but there is already an issue on the ground. The fact that you are now a student makes it worse. Like, some landlords don't even want to rent to students at all because they feel they might default along the line, and they don't want that. So a lot of students are finding it difficult to actually get a place to stay. When students land this country, at times when they land Canada, some are forced to go to Airbnb and stay there for a couple of weeks or even months before they eventually get their place. And this is expensive. It can be a strain on their finances because Airbnb is not cheap, and at the end of the day they are paying a lot just to stay there. But what can students do differently? If you are a student and you are going to any province and you know someone that can help you, then maybe you should start looking at accommodation prior to even landing. Another thing you can do is, if you are able to get like a permanent resident to co-sign for you, the essence of co-signing is that have someone say that, oh, if anything happens and this person defaults, I'm able to take up the rent. That is not something anyone would just do, but if you have someone in that province that you are close to that trusts you enough to be able to do that for you, maybe you need to talk to the person to help you co-sign. Because in all honesty, trying to get a place alone as a student might be a bit difficult, especially in places where housing is already an issue. So they would definitely prioritize the permanent residents over students. So a lot of students here are struggling to get a place over their head, and eventually when they are forced to now go for whatever is available, even though it might be like above their budget or they don't really like the place, but that is what is available, so they are forced to just accept it like that, right? In addition, another problem or challenge international students face in Canada is the cost of living. You know, this is not even peculiar to just international students. Even people that are working full-time are faced with the same thing. The cost of surviving when we put it side by side with what we are used to back home, is not, they are two different things entirely. So when you, like, students come in and they realize that, oh, for example, phone bills, you are forced to like pay 45-50 card every month. Even before you start working, you are wondering, why am I paying so much for my phone? And don't forget that as students, at times when you just relocate, because they are yet to land any job, they are still changing naira or whatever currency you are using in your own country to pay these bills. So the cost of living is really high, and I'm talking of not just bills but feeding and every other thing you definitely need to do monthly. It is expensive for a lot of students and they struggle. I've seen students that are defaulted in their rent just because they couldn't meet up, not because they didn't want to pay. Some other people, their guardian parents back home do send money to them monthly just so they are able to balance it up. So it's really difficult for some students because of the high cost of living. What challenge some international students face in Canada, I would say, is the level of unemployment, or the time it takes to actually get something. Getting a job in Canada is it's a job on its own. You need to constantly apply and look for jobs, and so as a student you are now in the same pool with people that are like permanent residents, people that are able to work full-time, and that sort of puts you at a disadvantage, because a lot of organizations or companies will definitely prioritize people that are able to work full-time. Also, because as a student, your timing, you need to work with your school timetable, so you need a job that is really flexible, that can accommodate your school timetable. When looking for a job, that already sort of limits what you are able to do. So students are forced to take up minimum wage jobs, and not even any type of minimum wage. They need something that can work with their school timetable so they are able to balance both. I understand that sometime this year a new announcement was made that students in the country already are able to work full-time up until they're able to work for any number of hours they want to up until May of this year. But if you ask 10 students, how many of them are really able to get jobs that would give them the maximum number of hours they need weekly? Even with the new announcements and rule, students still struggle with getting even 20 hours every week, let alone 40 hours or more. And this is because employers will definitely prioritize people that have more time. So whatever is left is just what all the students are trying to like get. So in terms of getting a job and cost of living, what you can do or you could have done differently as a student, I would just say, is that the struggle is actually varies based on whatever province you are. So I would say that for students that are looking to relocate, for those that are married, if you are able to come with your partners, that would also help make things a bit better, because your partner is now then able to like get a job and work full-time to support the family. But you know, you also need to consider people that have kids, that have dependents. When I'm in school and my partner is working full-time, who is taking care of these children, who is picking them from school, so the dynamics is just a bit different for family people with like kids and spouses, because then you now need to figure out how everything can work together as a student. You need to now map out, oh, when I'm working, you definitely need to be at home, because childcare is expensive, it's not cheap, so you really don't want to pay for someone to babysit. So you are trying to fit all of that into your schedule at the same time, and it could really be a bit stressful. However, once the schooling phase is over and you start working, things will begin to get better gradually. So yes, students are constantly faced with the issue of trying to get a job. There are some employers that would say they don't employ students just because they can't work with their flexibility. It's not like they are discriminating against them or something. So it's a really big challenge for international students. Also, there are some students proud to live in their own country. they didn't have enough funds. They just thought, oh, once I get to Canada, I would also and pay my school fees. You don't want to be in that situation. Prior to relocating, try as much as possible to pay like a reasonable percentage of your school fees, and even that proof of fund, if you're able to raise that money and have it handy, it will just help for a number, like it will help for those period of time when you are trying to get your housing, trying to get jobs and everything. So it will just, at least the family is able to like survive and afford the basic things. So it's really important you come with your proof of fund and it is yours. And that takes me to the very big one, which is like loneliness and depression. God, for students, especially the ones that are in like a new place, they are there alone, they don't know anyone around, they don't have family. A substantial number of students are actually lonely. Like some are outrightly depressed, and it is all the factors that I stated previously that contributed to the present state that they are. Some people are struggling with paying their rent, because when they eventually got the rent, it is really high and they can't afford it. Some people are forced to even go to churches to feed them because they don't have money. Some are not able to like balance schooling and working and are forced to stop working because their grades are suffering and they really need to pass, because that is why they are here in the first place. Different reality for different students, and at the end of the day, eventually a number of them are just basically depressed because it is like the expectation is different from reality. A lot of people came in with the impression that once I land this country, all of my life problems are over and I'm able to just start making money and sending money home. But you get here and realize that there are still challenges. The system is not really perfect, and it's like a phase that one needs to go through. So students at times are just dealing with one mental health issue or the other. What I would just say to that student that is alone wherever you are is that whatever phase you are going through, whatever period, whatever thing that is going through your mind at this particular point, just know that it won't always be like this, and this is just a phase, and it is a phase that would go and wouldn't come back. So just try to, I know it's difficult, but while you are schooling and going through all of this phase, try to just make it enjoyable for yourself. It might be hard, like, because we are humans, right? Just try to enjoy the process. Try to enjoy the wait. Know that you weren't sad when you were waiting on getting all of these things done. You understand what I'm trying to say? So yeah, that's just what I would say. There are certainly a number of challenges that students are facing, that nothing prepares you for these challenges. No YouTube video, no social media content to prepare you for the reality when you get there. And people's reality are different, because I know some students that when they got to this country, they were able to afford like the best house, they were able to buy 2 cars. People with different realities, someone like that might have like a different story to tell, because their reality is just different, right? But basically, I know that a good number of students are faced with a number of challenges. Also because some people have already used their life savings to pay their school fees. So financially, some are even in debt. Some people don't have any means. So it's a different reality for different people, but it is just a phase and it won't linger forever. Thank you very much for sticking to Layo's Tribe. I hope as a prospective student, you've learned 1 or 2 things about some challenges that you might face as an international student in Canada, and you are able to now better prepare yourself and mitigate some of these things. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Layo's Tribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.